Have you ever found yourself at a crossroads in life, where everything around you seems to shift, and you begin to reevaluate what's truly important? At 70, I've experienced this profound transformation myself. Today, I want to share with you why I've started avoiding people, how time feels more precious than ever, and why relationships have changed in ways I never imagined. By the end of this video, you'll understand why embracing solitude can bring peace, how our priorities naturally shift with age, and why it's okay to let go of what no longer serves us. Stick around, because this journey is all about embracing the present and cherishing the relationships that truly matter. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video. You can help me continue to spread the old age lesson. If you still need to subscribe, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you can see all the videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know, so I can make a better video for you. Now let's get started. 1. Time feels more precious than ever. At 70, my perspective on time has shifted profoundly, and I find myself reflecting on it in ways I never did when I was younger. It's not simply the ticking of the clock or the flipping of the calendar pages. It's a deeper, more personal realization that time is a limited, irreplaceable resource. When I was younger, time seemed boundless, like a river flowing endlessly toward an unknowable horizon. I took it for granted, thinking there would always be more to come. I spent countless hours on trivial conversations, relationships that lacked depth, and tasks that offered little fulfillment or meaning. At the time, none of it felt particularly important, and I didn't realize the value of those fleeting moments. But now, as the years have passed, every second feels like a precious gift, and I'm acutely aware of the finite nature of my time. Time has evolved from being a mere measurement to becoming a companion, one that is sometimes gentle, other times harsh, but always present, urging me to make the most of the time I have left. I've learned to appreciate it, to hold it in a way I never did before. I notice it in the quiet mornings, when I sip my coffee, and the warmth of the cup in my hands feels like a quiet blessing. I find it in the peaceful afternoons, when I take long, reflective walks, feeling the crunch of fallen leaves beneath my feet and appreciating the strength that still resides in my legs. And I feel it in the evenings, when I sit comfortably in my favorite chair, reflecting on a life filled with experiences, wisdom, and cherished memories. In the past, I would often fill my days with a whirlwind of people and activities, believing that the more I did, the more fulfilling my life would be. But over the years, I've learned the opposite truth. It's not the quantity of things or the number of people in your life that matters most. It's the quality of those moments and the depth of those connections. I've come to understand that the most valuable experiences are the ones that nourish the soul, the ones that create lasting meaning. Now, I choose more carefully how I spend my time, and with whom I spend it. I'd rather have an intimate, meaningful conversation with someone who truly understands me than attend a crowded social gathering where I feel lost in a sea of unfamiliar faces. What I've realized is that time, more than anything, is something I need to guard fiercely. I've become protective of it because I understand now just how irreplaceable it is. When you're young, there's a false sense of security that time will always be there, that there will always be another chance, another tomorrow to fix mistakes, rekindle old friendships, or chase forgotten dreams. But as you grow older, you come to terms with the fact that the number of tomorrows is finite, and that realization can be both sobering and liberating. Rather than feeling sad about the time that's slipping away, I've become more intentional about how I spend it. I don't waste my hours on drama that doesn't matter, shallow conversations that don't nourish me, or obligations that don't align with my values. Instead, I devote my time to what truly matters: nurturing my health, pursuing my passions, and investing in relationships that bring light and joy into my life. This shift in focus has brought with it a profound sense of peace. I no longer feel guilty about saying no to things that don't serve my well-being. I no longer feel the need to justify my choice of solitude over socializing. It's not that I don't value my relationships or the people in my life. I value them deeply, perhaps more than ever. But my priorities have changed. I seek out authentic connections, conversations that are enriching, and days that are filled with purpose and intention, not just activity for the sake of being busy. At this stage of life, time has become not just something to measure, but something to savor. It's about letting go. Letting go of past regrets over moments I wish I'd spent differently, letting go of old grudges that once seemed so important, and letting go of the pressure to do it all. I've come to realize that it's okay to slow down, take a breath, and simply be in the moment. There's no rush anymore. No race to the finish line. The most meaningful moments in life aren't necessarily the grand milestones or achievements. They're often found in the small, quiet joys, the feel of a soft breeze on my skin, the sound of a song that brings back memories, or the warmth of a genuine laugh shared with someone dear. So, yes, time feels more precious than ever, but it also feels richer. I've stopped chasing it and started embracing it, allowing myself to savor each moment as it comes. In doing so, I've discovered a level of contentment I never could have imagined. At 70, I don't want to waste a single moment. Not because I fear running out of time, but because I finally understand the true value of what it is. Time, with all its fleeting beauty, is a gift, and I intend to cherish it fully. 2. Relationships change, and so do we. As the years go by, relationships evolve in ways you might never expect or even anticipate. Some of these changes bring growth, deepening connections forged through shared experiences and mutual understanding. These relationships become more meaningful with time, enriched by the memories you create together. On the other hand, some relationships slowly fade away, quietly slipping from your life like a book you've enjoyed but set aside, never to pick up again. At 70, I've learned to accept that not all relationships are meant to last forever, and I've made peace with that reality. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. What I've come to understand is that the people who remain in your life during this stage of your journey are often the ones who truly matter. When I was younger, relationships felt like everything to me. I surrounded myself with friends, colleagues, neighbors, and acquaintances, constantly striving to maintain connections and be part of something bigger than myself. I was the one who remembered every birthday, showed up to every event, and did my best to keep everyone happy. I thought that this was the key to being a good friend, a good family member, and a valued part of a community. But as the years passed, I began to realize how much energy it took to maintain relationships that, in the end, didn't always nurture me in return. Life has a way of naturally trimming the branches of your social tree, whether you want it to or not. People move away, become consumed with their own lives, or change in ways that make it difficult to stay connected. Some relationships end with the sting of heartbreak, while others simply wither away over time, like leaves falling in the autumn. I used to take these losses personally, wondering what I could have done differently to preserve them. Now, I've learned to understand that life's journey pulls each of us in different directions. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Recognizing the difference between these stages has brought me a sense of inner peace, and a deeper understanding that not every connection is meant to endure forever. But it's not just others who change over time. We change too. I'm not the same person I was at 40, or even 60. My outlook on life has shifted, and my priorities have evolved. I value simplicity, kindness, and authenticity more now than ever before. I find I have less patience for drama or relationships that feel one-sided, where I give more than I receive. I once believed that being there for everyone made me a good friend or a loving family member. But with time, I've learned that true relationships are reciprocal. They don't drain you, they fill you. They give you energy, support, and a sense of belonging. I no longer feel obligated to be everything to everyone. Some of the most profound lessons I've learned about relationships have been born through heartache. Trust is broken by people I cared about deeply, loyalty that was never returned, and kindness that was taken for granted. Each of these experiences left its mark on me. But they also taught me important lessons in setting boundaries, recognizing red flags, and, perhaps most importantly, valuing my well-being. Today, I invest my time and energy in people who lift me and offer mutual respect, rather than those who drain me or take me for granted. Even with all these lessons learned, there are moments when I feel a bittersweet pang of nostalgia for relationships that have faded away. A close friend who was once like a sibling, yet now I haven't spoken to them in years. A family member whose path has taken them far away from mine. It's hard not to feel a little sadness when I look back on those connections, wondering what happened to the closeness we once shared. But over time, I've come to appreciate these relationships for what they were, precious moments in time that helped shape me into the person I am today. They were part of my story, and though they may no longer be part of my present, I carry the lessons and memories from those relationships with me. I've learned to cherish those memories without trying to hold on to what was. 3. Trust becomes more complicated. As time passes, trust becomes a more intricate and delicate matter. The older you get, the more you realize just how fragile trust can be. When I was younger, I trusted easily, believing in the goodness of others and assuming that most people's intentions were pure. Life, however, has a way of teaching us hard lessons, and over the years, I've encountered betrayals in ways that have left me far more cautious and reserved. Trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult to rebuild, and now, at the age of 70, I find myself being far more selective about whom I allow into my inner circle. It's not that I carry bitterness or resentment, because I truly don't. But life has a way of imparting wisdom through experience, and experience has shown me that I need to be careful. Over time, I've been let down by people I never expected to disappoint me. I had a friend who, despite all appearances, was more interested in what I could do for others than in who I was. There was a business partner who prioritized personal gain over the shared vision we once had. And sadly, even family members, people I thought I could rely on, distanced themselves in ways I never fully understood, leaving me to question where things had gone wrong. These kinds of experiences left me with a difficult choice. I could either shut myself off from the possibility of deeper connections altogether or approach new relationships with a mixture of openness and caution. I chose the latter, but that caution comes at a cost. When someone new enters my life now, my first reaction isn't excitement or curiosity as it once was. Instead, it's suspicion. My mind naturally goes to places of uncertainty, and I find myself asking, what do they want? What's their true motive? It's a mindset that's difficult to maintain, one I don't enjoy, but it's one that's become necessary for my emotional survival. Still, I've learned that trust isn't just about trusting others. It's also about trusting myself. I've had to trust my instincts when something doesn't sit right, trust my ability to walk away from toxic people, even when they've been a part of my life for a long time, and trust that it's okay to protect my heart, even if that means keeping a safe distance. Despite all of this, trust remains an incredibly complicated thing. But I've also been fortunate enough to meet people in recent years who have, in their own small but significant ways, helped restore my faith in humanity. A kind stranger who helped me when I dropped something in the store, a neighbor who checks in on me during bad weather. These simple acts of kindness remind me that, while trust may be harder to give now, it's not impossible. At this point in my life, I've come to terms with the fact that trust will always be a delicate balance. It's not about building walls so high that no one can climb them, but rather creating gates strong enough to keep out harm yet open enough to let in love, kindness, and connection when it feels right. Ultimately, relationships and trust have become both simpler and more complex as I've aged. I hold the few people I trust wholeheartedly close, cherishing those connections deeply. And I keep my boundaries firm with those who haven't earned my trust. While I may never be able to trust as easily as I once did, I've learned to value the relationships I do have even more. At 70, I can honestly say that this newfound perspective on trust is a gift that I treasure more than I ever realized. For, the world feels different now. At 70, the world feels like an entirely different place from the one I grew up in. It's not just the pace of life that has shifted, though that's certainly part of it. It's the very essence of how we connect and interact with one another. I often look around and wonder where the warmth, the simplicity, and the genuine human connections have gone. I grew up in a time when neighbors were like extended family members. We knew each other's names, and it wasn't unusual to stop by someone's house unannounced, simply to share a cup of coffee or catch up. Helping one another came naturally. No one had to ask. Families gathered together often, not out of obligation, but because they genuinely enjoyed being with one another. There was a depth to those relationships, a sense of belonging that required little effort to maintain. But now, it seems like everyone is so consumed with chasing something. Be it success, recognition, or merely trying to keep up with the relentless demands of modern life. People don't visit each other as they used to. Conversations have become rushed and hurried, as though we're all racing against some invisible clock that's constantly ticking away. Even within families, those connections sometimes feel more distant, stretched thin by physical and emotional space. Technology, for all its conveniences, has contributed to this change. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for the ability to video call my grandchildren or stay connected with old friends via social media. But at the same time, I can't help but feel that these screens, these virtual spaces, have created invisible walls between us. There's something irreplaceable about sitting across from someone, feeling the warmth of their presence, hearing the nuances in their voice that no text or video can fully capture. The constant hum of notifications, the flood of news updates, and the endless scrolling can feel overwhelming. The world seems louder, yet in many ways, it feels lonelier too. There are days when I long to step away from it all, turn off the phone, silence the notifications, and retreat into the quiet of my thoughts. And then there's the matter of values. The world I see today often feels unrecognizable, with priorities that seem so far removed from the ideals I was taught to cherish: honesty, kindness, community, and genuine connection. It's not that those values have vanished completely, but they've become harder to find amid the noise of self-promotion, competition, and the constant push for more. I often find myself longing for the simplicity of the past. Not because I resist change, but because I miss the depth and authenticity of the human connections that once filled my life. Back then, relationships felt more grounded and less transactional. People weren't constantly distracted, and there was an unspoken understanding that time spent together was precious, not something to be rushed or squeezed between obligations. Yet, I also realize that nostalgia can sometimes make the past seem softer and more idyllic than it was. Life was never perfect, and every era had its struggles and challenges. But as the world moves forward, I find myself retreating, not out of bitterness, but because I have an overwhelming desire to hold on to what still feels real and meaningful to me. 5. Solitude isn't loneliness. Solitude is not the same as loneliness. In my younger years, I used to equate being alone with being lonely. The thought of spending an evening by myself seemed unbearable, as though solitude was a void to be feared and avoided at all costs. But now, with the benefit of time and experience, I've come to understand that solitude isn't something to run from. It's something to cherish. There's a profound difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness is an emptiness, a yearning for connection that feels unreachable. Solitude, on the other hand, is a fullness, a quiet contentment found in your own company. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. At 70, I've discovered that some of the happiest moments in my life come from simply being still, from letting the world fade into the background and focusing on the present moment. In solitude, I've rediscovered the joy of simple pleasures, sitting by the window with a cup of tea, watching the birds flit about the feeder, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face during a morning walk, or hearing the crackle of a fire in the hearth as evening settles in. These small, seemingly insignificant moments bring a sense of peace that no crowded room or bustling event ever could. Solitude has also given me the space to reflect. At this stage of life, memories become both a comfort and a teacher. I often find myself revisiting moments from the past, not out of regret, but out of gratitude for the lessons and experiences that have shaped me. In the quiet of my thoughts, I've been able to make peace with things I once struggled to understand. This doesn't mean I've completely shut myself off from the world. I still delight in seeing my grandchildren's faces light up when they visit. I still cherish catching up with old friends, and I remain involved in causes that matter deeply to me. But these connections feel more meaningful now because they are a choice, not a duty. I no longer feel compelled to say yes to every invitation or maintain relationships that drain me. Solitude has taught me to appreciate the relationships that remain. When I do spend time with others, I am fully present. I savor the moments we share, without rushing, without distractions. Just the joy of being together, however briefly. I think solitude teaches you to love yourself in a way that no amount of external validation ever could. It shows you that your worth isn't measured by how many people surround you or how full your social calendar is. It's in those quiet moments when you realize that you are enough, just as you are. 6. Why I avoid people now. At this stage of life, avoiding people isn't about bitterness or resentment. It's about finding peace. After 7 decades of giving, learning, loving, and sometimes hurting, I've come to understand that not every relationship is meant to last, and not every connection is worth the energy it takes to maintain. It's a lesson that's both freeing and bittersweet, one I've embraced not out of sadness, but out of necessity. I've realized that there's a kind of peace that can only be found in solitude, in choosing who to let into your life, and recognizing that some relationships, while once meaningful, no longer serve your well-being. And that's okay. It's a process of shedding what no longer fits, of making room for the relationships that still nourish your soul and help you grow. It's about finding the balance between connection and independence, and in doing so, discovering a deeper, more enduring kind of happiness. For the majority of my life, I was someone who consistently placed others' needs before my own. I freely gave my time, my energy, and my heart, often without any expectation of receiving much in return. Deep down, I longed to be liked, to be helpful, and to be the person others could rely on in times of need. For many years, this felt like the right way to live. I thrived on the idea of being needed, of showing up for others, and of being the dependable figure that people could count on. It was a role I took pride in, and for a long time, it felt fulfilling. However, life has a way of teaching us where our boundaries should lie, even if it takes decades to fully absorb the lesson. Over the years, I have been let down by people I trusted, hurt by those I loved, and drained by relationships that took far more from me than they ever gave. There were moments when I ignored glaring red flags because I desperately wanted to see the good in people. I stayed in situations that slowly chipped away at my happiness, believing that loyalty meant sticking around, no matter how unbalanced things became. Now, at 70, I can look back with clearer eyes and a deeper understanding. I've come to realize that avoiding certain people doesn't mean I've given up on humanity. On the contrary, it means I've learned to protect my well-being and peace of mind. I no longer feel an obligation to maintain toxic relationships or to engage in situations that leave me feeling emotionally depleted. Instead, I've traded the noise of social obligations for the quiet of meaningful solitude, and I have never felt more at peace. I've learned to steer clear of people who bring unnecessary drama into their lives, and into mine. I avoid those who make everything about themselves, who never seem to inquire how I'm doing or care about the answer when they do ask. I also distance myself from individuals who take my kindness for granted, assuming it's endless without ever giving back. Most importantly, I avoid situations that make me feel less than who I truly am. This isn't to say I've closed myself off to the world entirely. I still cherish the relationships that matter, the ones that have stood the test of time, the friends and family who show up not because they need something from me, but because they genuinely care. Those connections are sacred to me, and I nurture them with all the love I have left to give. But I've come to realize that I don't need a large network of people to feel fulfilled. A smaller, deeper circle is more than enough. In many ways, stepping back from the demands of others has allowed me to get closer to myself. I have more time for reflection, more space for self-care, and more energy to focus on the things that truly bring me joy. The practice of avoiding certain people and situations has taught me that my inner peace is invaluable and that no amount of external validation is worth sacrificing. This lesson is one I carry with me every day, and it's one that I hope to continue learning as I grow older, well into my 80s and beyond. I often wonder if others in my age group feel the same way. Is it just me, or does the passage of time naturally lead to greater selectivity in our relationships? Do the disappointments and betrayals we face over the years lead all of us to guard our hearts more carefully, to prioritize our peace above all else? When I reflect on my younger years, I realize how much of that time was spent trying to meet everyone else's expectations. I wanted to be everything to everyone: a good friend, a reliable partner, a supportive family member. But as the years went by, I began to see just how exhausting that was. By the end of it all, there was little of myself left to give. Now, I've stopped apologizing for protecting my time and energy. I no longer feel guilty for choosing solitude over socializing. I've stopped wondering if there's something wrong with me for needing time alone, for needing space to breathe, reflect, and simply exist. If you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, maybe you found yourself making similar choices. Maybe you've started to distance yourself from relationships that no longer serve you, or situations that leave you feeling drained rather than fulfilled. Perhaps you've noticed that you value the quality of your connections more than the quantity. This transition isn't always easy. At times, it feels as though you're letting go of parts of yourself. But in truth, this stage of life is about shedding what no longer fits. It's about creating room for peace, joy, and the things that truly matter. If you resonate with any of this, I want you to know you're not alone. There's no rulebook for navigating this phase of life. No one-size-fits-all approach. Some people thrive in large social circles well into their golden years, and that's wonderful for them. But if, like me, you find comfort in solitude and prefer smaller, deeper connections, that's just as valid. At 70, I've learned that it's okay to let go of what no longer serves you. It's okay to prioritize yourself, to protect your peace, and to live life on your terms. By doing so, I've discovered a kind of freedom I never knew existed. A freedom to be fully and unapologetically myself. So, if you find yourself pulling away from people or choosing solitude more often, don't see it as a loss. See it as a gain. It's a gift to be able to carve out a life that feels right for you, even if it looks different from what others expect. Here's to this chapter of life, a chapter of reflection, growth, and the courage to live authentically. May we all find the peace we deserve by embracing this phase. At 70, I've come to see life not as a series of endings, but as a series of beginnings. Each stage brings its lessons, challenges, and beauty, and this one is no different. This chapter of life, with its quiet simplicity and deeper reflection, feels like a culmination, a time to embrace who I've become and let go of the things that no longer matter. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. When you're young, there's often a sense of urgency, a constant drive to do more, achieve more, and be more. There's a restlessness that propels you forward, fueled by the belief that the future holds endless possibilities. But as you age, that restlessness fades. You stop chasing what's out there and begin to appreciate what's right here. It's not about giving up. It's about shifting your focus. This chapter is about simplicity. It's about savoring the small moments that often go unnoticed. The soft glow of morning light streaming through the window, the sound of a grandchild's laughter, the comforting embrace of a loved one. These are the moments that anchor me, that remind me of what's truly important. At 70, I find myself reflecting deeply on the life I've lived. Not with any sense of regret, but with an overwhelming feeling of gratitude. Looking back, I see a tapestry woven from triumphs that filled me with immense pride, mistakes that offered invaluable lessons in resilience, and heartbreaks that shaped me in ways I could never have understood in the moment. Each experience, no matter how seemingly insignificant, has contributed to the person I've become. These moments, both joyful and painful, have been stepping stones, guiding me toward a deeper understanding of myself and the world around me. But as much as this chapter is about reflecting on the past, it's also about looking forward, with a quiet sense of excitement. Despite the years that have passed, I still have time to create, to learn, and to grow. There's an inner peace that comes with recognizing this truth, a freedom in knowing that life is not over but continually unfolding. I now find joy in the simple things, tending to my garden, exploring a new hobby, or allowing myself to simply be still and appreciate the beauty around me. In these moments of quiet joy, I rediscover what truly nourishes my soul. One of the most profound gifts that this stage of life offers is the freedom to let go. Freedom from the expectations others have placed on me, and freedom from the expectations I once imposed on myself. For much of my life, I felt the weight of needing to prove something, to meet arbitrary standards of success, to fit into societal molds. But now, I have come to understand that simply existing, being present, and embracing life for what it is enough. In this chapter, I've also learned the power of saying no. I no longer feel obligated to meet every demand or please everyone around me. I've learned to say no to commitments that drain me, no to relationships that no longer nourish me, and no to the pressure of trying to be everything for everyone. By doing so, I've carved out space for what truly matters: peace, love, and authentic connections. A special kind of courage comes with aging, a courage to live more authentically, to be unapologetically myself. I no longer fear judgment or misunderstanding. I have reached a point in my life where I no longer feel the need to justify my choices or explain myself to others. At 70, I've earned the right to prioritize my well-being, to speak my truth, and to live according to my terms. This chapter has also been about embracing gratitude. Gratitude for the life I've lived, for the people I've loved, and for the memories that will forever stay with me. I am deeply thankful for the strength that has carried me through hardships, and for the moments of joy that have illuminated my path. And above all, I am grateful for the simple fact that I am still here. Still living, still learning, still growing. So what does embracing this chapter truly mean? It means accepting the past without holding on to it too tightly, embracing the present moment with open arms, and looking toward the future with hope and anticipation. It means finding beauty in the smallest of things, the quiet moments, the simple pleasures, and cherishing the relationships that nourish my spirit. It also means letting go of anything that no longer serves my peace. This journey is not always easy. There are moments of loneliness, of wondering what lies ahead, of missing people and places that once held great significance in my life. Yet, even in those moments, there is a quiet strength within me. a reminder that I have already overcome so much and that I have everything I need within me to keep moving forward. At 70, I have come to realize that life is not about the big milestones or the achievements we accumulate, but about the small, meaningful moments that make up our days. It is in these moments that we truly live. This chapter, though it may look different from the ones that came before, is no less significant. In many ways, it feels like the most authentic, the most honest, and the most peaceful part of my journey. Embracing this chapter is not about accepting limitations, but rather about celebrating the endless possibilities that still exist. It's about honoring the life I've lived while remaining open to whatever comes next. Above all, it's about living fully, deeply, and unapologetically, one day at a time, fully immersed in the richness of the present. Closing thoughts. Life has taught me that, at 70, it's not about how much we do or have, but about the quality of what we cherish, the moments we savor, the relationships we nurture, and the peace we cultivate within ourselves. I have found joy in simplicity, strength in solitude, and fulfillment in focusing on what truly matters. Choosing to step back from certain people or situations is not about bitterness, but about protecting the peace I've worked so hard to find. If you find yourself on a similar path, know that it's okay to choose what feels right for you. This chapter of life is ours to embrace in whichever way brings us the most contentment, without apology. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope the message resonated deeply and offered you some valuable insights. As we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned so far from this content? What's one thing you'll bring into practice in your life going forward? Please share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. I can't wait to read them. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more spiritual encouragement and guidance. Your support helps us grow and reach more people with messages of hope and comfort. Stay blessed.